What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Right now I'm on VADA's official website. Make sure you check them out. And I want to read this and talk about this in the video. Liam Smith has withdrawn from VADA in advance of his September 17th bout with Saul Canelo Alvarez. Go back to the homepage, and there's also a picture of Canelo. Saul Alvarez no longer in VADA for his upcoming September 17th, 2016 bout. Obviously, the Liam Smith fight at the AT&T Stadium in Texas. Now, I don't know why this has occurred. I don't know why they enrolled and withdrew, but I know this fight was being tested under the VADA criteria, the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association. Just so you guys know, Alexander Brand, you look at Terrence Crawford, Victor Postal, Chris Arreola, Deontay Wilder, and of course Andre Ward, and the list goes on. Even Gennady Golovkin and Kell Brook are both taking part in this voluntary testing program. Now, I want to explore this topic. I don't have many facts other than what VADA has presented on their website, so I don't know why this has occurred. I don't know why Canelo and Liam Smith decided to drop the program. Let me be clear, I am all for a clean sport. I think it's only fair. These fighters risk their lives when they lace them up and get in that square circle. So anything to eliminate or try your best to eradicate cheaters, I'm all for it. Now, there could be different reasons why Canelo and Liam Smith have withdrawn from the VADA testing program. And reasons that I could think of would be, obviously the most extreme is if someone's cheating. But aside from that, the fighters have to pay for this. VADA is not free. Every business requires some, like even this, I'm doing YouTube videos. I'm a YouTube creator. I don't have a job, but I get paid from YouTube, you know what I mean? And every business operates like that. You have to be getting money from something. VADA's not just going out all these random spots and randomly showing up at your gym and spending gas to go all these places to chase these fighters to fill up blood vials and blood tubes for free. You know what I mean? So they're getting paid, and the fighters, it's an expense that the fighters have to pay for, right? So that could be one, like financially. The thing that's weird about that is if financially that is the reason. I mean, Canelo, he's a superstar, so I know he's making good money, so I think it is something he could probably afford. I don't know about Liam Smith. I don't know what his purse is like that. Another reason I could think of would be the situation, like, it's time consuming, it's laborious. Like them, they can show up whenever within whatever window. I don't know all the parameters, but they can kind of just show up randomly, and you have to actually adhere to these rules. You can't be like, oh no, I'll come back later, I'm still sleepy. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a time consuming process because they're trying to find people who are guilty and like cheating, and the best way to do it is to get tested randomly where you can't expect it, you can't cleanse out your system, you can't plan for it. That's the most effective way to try to catch somebody, right? So those are the reasons I could think of. Again, this is just reasons that I'm thinking of. I don't know what the actual reason for Canelo and Smith dropping out of the program, so it's all speculation at this point. Hopefully Golden Boy releases like some kind of press statement explaining it or speaking to it. Probably not, but hopefully they do, just to provide some clarity as to why they dropped. The biggest thing for me, I think, is if you don't want to drug test for whatever reason, one of those reasons I gave earlier, like let's say it costs too much, or you're in camp and you just want to focus and you don't want to be stopped randomly to do blood tests or urine tests, right? Then I would just say, think of the big picture beforehand, so it doesn't look like you're dropping out of a program. You know what I mean? I would never initiate the program to begin with. Like if you thought it's going to be too much of an inconvenience or whatever the situation is, then just don't do it if that's what you feel is best for your career. That's the only thing that kind of troubles me about this, is just why would you do it? And I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just saying, me personally, the way I think is I wouldn't even enroll in the program if I wasn't going to stick through it. And again, like you could say it's finances or whatever, but I think Canelo makes enough money where he can swing it. Same thing with Liam Smith. So I don't know the real reason. Maybe they're looking at the fight and the ticket sales, which they said is on track to beat Manny Pacquiao, and they're deciding how much money this fight is going to actually generate and saying, hey, this is an expense we got to cut. Because this fight got a lot of backlash. Canelo Smith got a lot of backlash when it was announced. So maybe it's something like that. Maybe they're looking at the figures and saying, based on X amount of tickets sold and the interest and how many pay-per-views buys that we expect to generate, it's not going to generate enough money to comfortably get the salary that we were expecting. So we have to cut costs where we can cut costs. Just like, I mean, any business would do this. I'm not reinventing the wheel. HBO, their budgeting has suffered in the last year predominantly. They fired some people, things like that. And as a result, their HBO sports programming has been altered, meaning Pacquiao versus Bradley 3. That wasn't really a big fight. It wasn't a fight that the fans were clamoring for, and we didn't get a face-off for it. But we got a face-off for the first two. We didn't get an HBO 24/7, not one episode for Pacquiao Bradley, right? And that was because it was the third fight in HBO. With their budget cuts, they're probably looking at like, man, we're not spending no extra money to do this. So not necessarily a good look, but again, I don't have enough information to say why it happened with Canelo and Smith. Maybe it was a team decision for whatever. So hopefully some more information comes out. But I would say with the current state of boxing, there's been a lot of controversial tests and failed tests and things this year, particularly, especially the beginning. You had Alexander Povetkin probably being the biggest one. Deontay Wilder was going to go fight him in Russia. He tested positive for meldonium. And because this, I got to clarify this too, because some people are under the impression he still failed his drug test. He still failed a drug test with a banned substance. However, based on the gray area, because the substance was recently banned and they have no way of distinguishing or determining when he took it. If he took it after, then that means he was trying to cheat. If he took it before, then it was just remaining in his system. And based on the scientific test, they don't have enough information to determine when this actually occurred. So that's a little bit different than being innocent. Some people are going around like, oh, you're innocent. That's not necessarily the case. That's like O.J. Simpson. You look at O.J. Simpson, he walked. He didn't go to jail. He's in jail now for something else, but he didn't go to jail for murdering Ron Goldman and his wife, Nicole, or ex-wife or whatever, right? He didn't go to jail for that because the jury didn't have enough evidence, they felt, to convict him. Does that mean he had nothing to do with his wife's death and Ron Goldman? Does it mean that he didn't do it? No, it just means they didn't see fit, and there's not enough compelling evidence for them to pull the trigger and say, hey, you're going to jail for life. So that's the difference with the Povetkin shit. A lot of people are getting that twisted, like, oh, he's innocent. See, I told you. You didn't tell me shit. I just feel like overall there's a lot going on. Francisco Vargas, he had a controversial failed test. Clenbuterol, the same thing Eric Morales had versus Danny Garcia in the rematch. And they still let him fight. They said, oh, it was some tainted meat from Mexico, whatever the situation was. But other than that, you had Lucian Bute in his fight with Badu Jack, actually. And you had Lucian Bute, Felix Sturm, Lucas Brown, and a ton of other guys with that black cloud over their drug test just this year, on top of Povetkin and the Francisco Vargas, who were kind of granted exceptions based on their individual cases. But there's other people who failed their A and B sample. You know what I mean? You look at the UFC also, Brock Lesnar failed his drug test. John Jones failed a drug test, right? So I think in the world of fighting sports in general, the drug testing is something that's running rampant and it should be enforced. So if the fighters can swing it, if you're a low level fighter and you can't swing it, I mean, that sucks. But I mean, I would advise all the superstars to be doing this, like the Gennady Golovkins, the Mayweathers, Pacquiaos, the Canelos, because it's just a good look for the sport of boxing, because you guys are the front runners of the sport, especially with Mayweather retired. You know what I mean? They're saying Canelo is the pay-per-view star. So if you have the money and the finances and the backing to join a program like this and set the example and be that role model, I definitely support that. And I think that's a great look for the fighters that probably look up to you, the fans and all that. Show them that you're doing this the earnest way and the old-fashioned way, and you're beating competition based on that. So again, I don't know why Canelo dropped out of the program. It doesn't really, I don't know. But the way the drug testing works with the meldonium, the Alexander Povetkin situation, the commission or the VADA or whoever testing agency has to be made aware of these drugs. Like, let's say like meldonium, that's something that they produce and manufacture in pharmacies in Russia. So the Russian laboratories, pharmacies, they came up with this. And this is the other thing when it comes to, and I'm not going to go too deep with drugs, but they can change like the the DNA of the drug slightly and then name it something else, and then technically it's meldonium. But meldonium is probably like there's somewhere in probably, let's say, Thailand, I'm just random place, Africa, Thailand, that has something that is almost the exact same build as meldonium, but they call it something totally different. So bottom line, VADA, WADA, USADA, they have to be made aware of whatever drug. So the Povetkin situation was recently banned in January because they probably had no prior notice of this drug, and then when they do find out, they test it to make sure it's not a performance enhancer, something that's actually aiding and giving you an unfair advantage in combat, right? And then if they deem it is, then they put it on the ban list. But it's a process because there's so many chemical makeups and so many different drugs that are out there in different regions. There's no way to police it, you know what I mean? There's just no way. It's like, I remember people start doing random drugs here, like all of a sudden people were on bath salts and people were acting crazy. That wasn't nothing they had to worry about before, but then for that one stretch they had people acting like zombies because they were ingesting bath salts and shit like that. So you know what I'm saying? You have to, in that type of industry, it's almost like a reactive industry. You have to be made aware of the drug, then test the side effects and what it's doing for your body and stuff like that, and then you put it on the ban list. So again, if there's any fighter in the spotlight, I think it's definitely a good look for them to be involved in these programs. VADA, WADA, USADA, it's just overall a good look for the sport, because we need to clean up the sport and make sure it's on an even playing field with all these, especially mega fights and stuff. You're charging me pay-per-view, I'm not trying to see a motherfucker cheating in there, right? So it's a good practice, but these fighters don't have to do it, and they have to come out of their own pocket for it. So there are probably going to be times where people reject it and say, I'm not doing it. But I definitely suggest it for the A-listers, and definitely suggest it for the high-profile fights, because these are the fights that are getting the most views and the people are anticipating the most. So as fans, we deserve to get to see it on an even playing field, no bullshit. And if it's a fight of the year, let it be a fight of the year naturally, organically, not because you took something and then all of a sudden you like the Energizer Bunny or Commando or some shit. I want to see who's better out of the two people, two combatants, naturally, not who's better based on my natural skill plus something I took. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Why do you think Canelo and Liam Smith both have evacuated and dropped out of the VADA testing? Their fight's just next month. Let me know what you think, and what do you think this means for that particular fight? Are you looking forward to that fight? HBO pay-per-view. Drop that in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.